to be a fight at that to see who can mill each other the quickest, or just, get them dead in the air as quick as you possibly can. Because even though these decks are, controlling, they have such a great amount of power available to them. As soon as we get the Thieves Guild Enforcers down, as soon as 8 cards get into the graveyard, the Soaring Thought Thieves, the Merfolk Wind Robber, all of these cards just working together so well can really close out the game very quickly. Taking a look at the opening hands here, not too shabby from either side. Some early interaction from both players.
And that's a really good... Oh, sorry. That's a really good point when you say that they can be aggressive, they can be controlling. You really want to be controlling when there's giant spells coming across from you, where you're kind of trading up, as we say, where you're investing less mana into something to counter something that costs more mana. Here, when both spells are relatively cheap, we'll see how controlling they truly stay versus how aggressive they want to be.
So first thing on the battlefield is a Merfolk Wind Robber. Now, a decision here for Luca, whether to get the Temple of Deceit down or kick things off with a Rune Crab. Opts to go for the crab.
Yeah, why not? Not the biggest thing you need to kill in these matchups. It is important at some point, but I think you want to just get the value where you can. But yeah, Luca's got a ton of lands up there. We're looking to draw some gas for sure.
Oh yeah, look at this now. Got a human and a non-human down, drawing 2 cards for 1 mana. Thank you very much.
Every Magic player's dream. Drawing 2 cards for 1 mana. Thank you very much.
Christmas coming early for sure in certain cases like that. A little clunky here with 2 Lull Mage's Dominations. We do have a couple cards milled already. Rune Crab to follow up with to get potentially 6 cards next turn if we see the Fabled Passage for Paulo. So still ways away though from firing off the Lull Mage's Domination on anything relevant, as the Heartless Act takes care of the Thieves Guild Enforcer. Yes, dominance of the crab. I love it.
Got him. Paulo just not phased at all while Luca's loving it. I love it. So pretty interesting spot here where before the top decked Merfolk Wind Robber from Paulo, there's some consideration to just being mana efficient and just put Lurrus into your hand, especially when your opponent is milling you for so many cards. But when you draw another spell where you can double spell, I like just playing both of these creatures.
Yeah, certainly getting the mill plan underway here is the reigning world champion, Paulo Vitor Damo da Rosa. And the mill plan not going as well on the other side here, with just a little Rune Crab down.
Yeah, looks like we do have 5 cards from Paulo, though, so 1 more Rune Crab activation, which we can do this turn, and at least Into the Story is unlocked, and right now, with perfect information, we know Paulo cannot do much about it, so right now, I would put the advantage bar slightly in Luca's favor here, depending on if he acts upon that play.
Yeah, for sure. Having Into the Story available with no way for Paulo to stop it, it's going to be a really, really backbreaking next turn if the draws are favorable, of course.
Of course. And with Gadwick there, a nice pickup as well to refuel as well. So card advantage definitely going in favor of Luca. And when these kind of aggro control decks go at it, that's really all it's about is card advantage.
You know what I want to see, Corey?
I
want to see a crab be stolen.
Yeah, Lull Mage's Domination on a crab.
Yeah, why not?
I like it. I mean, what else is Paulo really doing right now? You kind of get that turbocharged mill plan. And but that does open the door to say, I do not have a counter spell. If you want to play Into the Story, you can, which is scary.
Yeah, that card can really be very frightening indeed. But we're seeing a lot of good hits get milled to the graveyard there. So it'll be interesting to see what the Into the Story does find. Another Into the Story. Hello.
Wow. Luca with keeping a hand that was maybe a little light on action, drawing Into the Story, into Gadwick, into the Story. That's one way to get out of that problem.
Certainly is. Now, open mana is always frightening, especially when you're sitting across from the world champion.
Yes.
So do you think he changes his game plan slightly, or is he just going to fire it off and see what happens?
I would guess it is not going to be fired off main phase because
Mhm.
open mana, I wouldn't have been too shocked if we would have saw a upkeep into the story. But with that many into the stories, I think we'll just see one at end step. I don't think you can play that scared when you have 3 huge card draw spells like Luca has right now.
Yeah, you got to fight through the counter spells. If they have it, they have it. If they don't, then you get lucky. So,
And I think a lot of people do have this problem. Not saying Luca does because Luca obviously a great player here, but when you play against some of the best players in the world, you just think, God, they always have it. But of course, sometimes they don't have it.
oof. Another 3 spells milled away there as Lurrus of the Dream Den is brought to hand. Here we go.
I
First
like
into
it.
the
No
story.
fear.
Fired off. Oh, Drown in the Loch, Soaring Thought Thief, and a Zareth Sand picked up there. Very nice indeed.
Oh yeah, that's a juicy hand with some action right now. That's for sure.
So much so you have to discard 2 cards, but is able to play something here. Just not the other end of the story, please. Otherwise, you're gonna have to discard a lot.
So you're cool with the Gadwick for 2? That's fine.
No.
Yeah, that's still drawing too many cards here. I would be pretty shocked if we don't see, maybe just a Soaring Thought Thief, hold up a drown in the Loch to make sure you don't have to discard, or just simply put that Clearwater Pathway into your graveyard and move on.
Yeah. Because having Drown in the Loch available to prevent this Lull Mage's Domination from hitting something. Imagine if Paulo gets his hands on a Zareth Sand in a couple turns' time.
Oh, yeah, that would be huge. And just Drown in the Loch to deal with Lurrus here, too. Lurrus is one way that Paulo could claw back in, because I'm guessing he has some pretty decent hits since Rune Crab has been going to town on his life total. Or on his deck size, excuse me.
Well, in this instance, your deck size is your life total, because as soon as that runs out, you're kind of dead for the game, so... Not a bad way to see it.
Are we considering discarding into the story?
Please no.
Yeah. I mean, well, you have a lot of cards. You also have 2 lands. I mean, you would think you would just want to get rid of one of those, but just valuing land drops in this matchup quite highly. But
wow. It's going to be Gadwick. The Gadfather gets sent to the graveyard.
That surprised me. With 2 pathways, if you only had 1 pathway, totally reasonable, and I'd understand that because land drops are important. But with 2 of them, I think I would have discarded one of those personally.
Yes, and scatter a consideration here for Paulo, as Soaring Thought Thief is on the stack, ready to jump in the way of one of these Merfolk Windrobbers, but Paulo says, no thank you very much. I would like to do my thing. In for 2. Mill 2.
There's another Drown into the story milled over there.
I suppose in this sort of matchup, you also don't want to be drawing too many cards, but you want just the right amount to be able to close out the game.
Yeah, this is a tough dance of how many cards do I draw? How many cards do I mill? Really just a very skill-intensive mirror match here that I don't envy either of them for having to play at such high stakes here.
Yeah, for sure. Both of these players now in the points for their league play, as we see Heartless Act try and kill off this poor little defenseless Rune Crab.
It didn't deal any damage. It didn't harm anyone. What the heck?
It didn't even threaten Luca Magni like the cheeky crab on the other side did. But nevertheless, it is going to be heartlessly acted into the graveyard.
That's heartless.
Poor little guy. Justice for crustaceans, I say.
You say that often, Ailey?
No, that was the first time.
I hope it sticks. I hope it sticks.
Truth be told, I hate this crab, so the more they die, the better. Let's go. Let's make crab legs out of them.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan either. Every time you get actually milled out, it feels so bad. Luckily, I play a lot of cards where I go above the minimum deck requirement, so it's a little trickier for that crab to get me most of the time.
Yeah, You and your Ioria nonsense.
I know. I can't get enough. Yeah,
So unhealthy.
like you said, Luca in the Rivals League, Paulo Vitor in MPL, getting a point for every single win right now for their overall standing. So really big matches here.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Thought Thief on the stack here. Luca just deciding how he wants to respond to this. He's going to fire off the Into the Story to see what options are available to him. There is the Drown in the Lock to counter it or kill it. And also picked up a Brazen Borrower if you want to pick something up. But in this matchup, like Mani said before the game started, it's not necessarily the best card because of all the ETB triggers that these rogues tend to have.
Yeah, 100%. Zerasan at some point can be decent. You know, I mean, if you get to pick up just any rogue, adding a creature to your side of the battlefield for free is nice. But Brazen Borrower, the best thing it's going to be doing here is, you know, bouncing a creature if you're getting really low or jumping in front of one of these creatures to block. Not ideal here.
Luca Magni now down to 9 with this attack. Couple more cards milled and Lull Mage's Domination. Yes.
Yes.
Give me that crab. Give it. Give it. I love this.
I guess right as we say that, that's a pretty good Brazen Borrower target just to put back in Luca's hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if you want to pick a fight over this since you do have Petty Theft if you really need it.
In terms of Petty Theft targets, the crab is certainly one of the better ones, I guess.
Yeah.
And, it's going to get some milling again. 11 cards left in the library. How is Luca Magni going to die at this point, we wonder?
Yeah, no kidding. And I mean, as I was saying maybe 2 turns ago here, where we could have discarded a Clearwater Pathway to keep that into the story, it's becoming pretty clear why Luca decided to get rid of that draw 4 magic card.
Yeah. Especially now that, you know, there's 2 rogues going. Every attack mills cards. Every contact or every damage dealt mills a card. And now the crab's been stolen. So you know what? Sure, let's fight over this crab. Let's try and Brazen Borrow it away. Let's kill it.
That's truly heartless if you're killing your own rune crab here, technically, to stop the Petty Theft and fizzle the Brazen Bar. Truly heartless.
But you know what? The Brazen Bar is the only way to stop these flyers, so I like that play, making sure that it's not going to be a factor in this matchup, and Paulo can just keep pushing the advantage and doing the damage in the air.
Totally agree. It's so crazy that right now the biggest distinguisher between who is ahead is the hardest one to see because it is the library sizes here. Mm-hmm. We do see Paulo at 25 right now and 10 for Luca. That is a very big measure to keep track of here.
A healthy 25, I might add.
Yes, super.
Comparatively, that's great.
Agreed. And these 2 Zerasan starting to look really awkward.
Yeah. Ideally, you want to rogue jitsu them out. But at this point, you might just have to play them out, and I don't know. I don't even think that's a great idea because, you know, Lull Mage's Domination is a factor in this matchup with Paulo, you know, having access to another one. Not that Luca knows that at this point, but...
Did you spy what just happened in Luca's camera there? I think that's going to make you a fan. A nice kitty just jumped on his lap. That was cute.
Kitty's not going to help him in this one, though.
No.
Not going to help him at all. So Heartless Act took care of the Soaring Thought Thief. Now it's just the lone Merfolk Wind Robber in the sky. Do we go for a Lull Mage's Domination once again? Or are we thinking of something else here?
Paulo's definitely thinking Luris with the way that he has tapped. We'll see if he changes his mind here. But without a land drop, I think I like trying to go with Luris. If you had a land drop, you could Lull Mage's Domination and then play a land, which is super strong. But here... of one mind, super fine consolation prize.
Yeah, going to be drawing 2 cards. Doesn't get the discount, but still pretty decent pickup there in a Drown in the Lock. Able to fight over something or get something off the battlefield if this Rune Crab gets out of hand.
Yeah, and the one thing that we haven't really seen so far from Paulo is just drawing into the story, being able to draw extra cards. And as he fans through that, I think I counted at least 3 of them that were in the graveyard. Or maybe that was Luca's graveyard that he was looking at. Tough to tell.
Down to 16 cards in the library goes Paulo. I believe Luke is on 9. Yep.
Wow.
Man, yeah, you said it. These Earth Sands are looking so awkward right now.
Yeah, I would guess we probably cast one of them at end step, which we do have the immediate answer with a Drown in the Law. And you could like then play a Brazen Borrower. I believe we have 8 mana. And then try to Rogue Jitsu one in. But yeah, then that Low Mage's Dominance is there to either steal whatever Zerasan brings back or just take the Zerasan straight away.
Yeah, he's also a little awkward in this matchup because, oh, hello, another didn't say please, just to protect whatever shenanigans Paulo wants to get up to.
Yeah, and right now, with Didn't Say Please milling some cards as well, I guess Paulo doesn't have access to Didn't Say Please right now to counter this in response, but now with the trigger, yeah, this is coming up all Paulo here. I just don't even know if Luca could even deal damage in time and is so far behind in library sizes that that's going to be a tough battle as well.
6 cards left now for Luca Magni. Are we going to see death by mill here at the Zendikar Rising Championship? I'm going to go with yes, most likely.
So I want to bring some attention to what Paulo's doing right here. You can see he's like got his finger up there right now. When you get this many cards into your graveyard, you just get to figure out what's in Luca's hand by the process of elimination. So right now, that's what Paulo is doing, is keeping a mental track of what cards are not in the graveyard, because there can't be that many cards that he doesn't know about at this point.
Yeah. Zareth San resolves. Paulo just picking his spot. Trying to figure out when it is that he wants to fire off this Didn't Say Please. Is now as good a time as any?
I would think now is probably the time. You mill 3 cards, putting Luca down to 3 cards, draws down to 2 cards. Otherwise, that is some kind of recipe for Luca to maybe mill out Paulo as like top deck a Fabled Passage or something. So I think you want to fight over this. Maybe you just want to kill Zerasan with Drown in the Law right now. We shall see. Trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's like, what do you have? It's only 3 cards left in the library here. Sorry, 6 cards left. We 3 after this Didn't Say Please resolves if Paulo goes for that, or if he just wants to kill off Zareth San. It looks like we're going for Drown in the Lock.
Counters it. Interesting.
Oh, another Drown in the Lock. All right. So still finding useful cards is Luca Magni, even with 5 left in the library.
Gonna do the old block and sacrifice trick to draw a card here. Love it.
Isn't able to cast this Didn't Say Please. Finds it into the story.
Hello.
You'd never be like nervous to draw this card, but in this situation, you're like, I only have so many cards left in the library. I don't know if I want to draw them right now.
Yeah, with 14, I think Paulo is going to be plenty happy to cast that, because you can think if he just gets like 2 Thieves Guild Enforcers, the game's over.
Oh, yeah.
And even if he gets some removal or whatever, there's a lot of strong draws to just close it out after this.
So Zareth San won't get to connect and go digging through the graveyard to bring back a permanent. Just going to have to be satisfied with being tapped on that side of the battlefield for now. As we draw Agadeem's Awakening. Whoa. Oh, that's got to be game. We do have the Drown in the Lock, though, so maybe not yet.
Yeah, if we had... Yeah, I got excited. That's a huge draw step. Going for it. There was...
Yeah, I mean, wait. No. If we go for just 1 and keep up the Didn't Say Please, nah, just playing it as a land. I like that.
Makes sense. That is, a large chunk of Luca's library.
Yeah.
And now Didn't Say Please is lethal.
Yeah. Anything that Luca does is just going to result in his death here. So this game is going to go to Paulo Vitor Damo da Rosa, courtesy of a stolen Rune Crab. You got to say, Crabby MVP.
As crabby as it makes you to see Crab win, unfortunately, that is how it is. So this won't be game on the spot, because we do have Drown in the Law. Just has to be cast. There's no decision.
So counter war here. Paulo can fire off this into the story, find another mill effect, find a land even. And does he even mind here to take this hit?
It's interesting here. Yeah, because you can get just like Thief Guild's Enforcer or something, which is milling some more cards. Yeah, this is going to be interesting here. I feel like with what do we have? One card in library?
Yeah.
So Paulo's thinking, what cards can line it up so that he can possibly lose, right? Because I think damage is out of the question. So he can't lose to damage. So now it's in what combination of cards with Zerasan connecting, with playing a rogue or whatever, mills 11 cards. And if there is some combination that does that, you don't want to cast into the story. But Low Mage's dominance or domination is excellent here.
Just gonna steal that, don't mind me.
Draws the last card in the library, and
that's gonna do it. All right, so Paulo Vitor picks up that victory there, courtesy of the stolen Ruin Crab, and stealing the final Thought Thief there at the end. Nothing that Luca could do was really gonna get him back in there.
Yeah, it was a pretty weird game because it really looked like Luca was favored for so long with drawing Into the Stories and Gadwicks while Paulo was drawing Low Mage's Domination, which isn't ideal. But all of a sudden you just look and Luca just doesn't have any cards left in library and takes it down very sneakily.
All right, well, it's not the end of that match. We will be right back with it after this short break, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to coverage of the Zendikar Rising Championship. We are in the standard rounds of the day. We're going to jump in with Paulo Vitor Damo da Rosa and Luca Magni as they sideboard here in this Dimir Rogues mirror match of sorts. Corey, what do we do in this matchup? What do we sideboard here?
Well, for a second there, that was crazy. Paulo just brought in his entire sideboard, but then kind of just cleansed the palette, and then he took out some of the cards that are actually in a sideboard. I was like, no way, we have a 15-card sideboard for this? But what I think we take out here, Low Mage's Domination seems pretty bad. I would think Brazen Borrower from Luca's side would seem pretty bad. It really didn't look great there. Maybe the games change a little bit where that card actually gets better. The major change being Shade coming in, Skyclave Shade from each player. bouncing that after it's been kicked or something, decent. But for the most part, still doesn't seem like a great card to me.
Mm-hmm.
But bringing in Mystical Disputes, Cling to Dust, I believe they both have a copy of those. Any card that basically says Graveyard, you bring it in these matchups. So the Skyclave Shade and Clings, and then Disputes for all the blue counterspell wars.
Yeah, and I see the Zareth Sands are getting benched in this matchup here for Luca Magni.
Yep.
Not the matchup you want to be playing that powerful rogue in.
Yeah, does not really seem that good. I think Brazen Bar is defensible, and we'll see what Luca does. But yeah, just as I say that, trims on one, respectable. I feel like me and Luca both win in that exchange.
I also like bringing in the Shark Typhoons here for Luca, just being able to have another threat that can't be countered, at least can be dealt with, by a destroy effect, but just having some flyers in the air to stave off the attack.
Yeah, I feel like that lesson was kind of brained into our heads when it was the Teamer Reclamation Mirrors, expertly piloted by Autumn, is those matchups turned into that Shark Typhoon draw go matchup. And I think that's what these Dimir Rogues matchups kind of turn into, acting 100% on your opponent's turn, holding up counter spells, and then if you don't counter anything of meaning, then you just cycle a Shark. Very effective.
Yeah. All right, well, both players are ready to rock and roll, so let's jump in here and see what the opening hands look like. Not too shabby there for Luca. He's going to keep that and kick things off with the Temple of Deceit. A mulligan here for Paulo, though. Going to send back a Blood Chief's Thirst.
Yep, one mulligan there, but a very important card in the form of Cling to Dust, as well as Skyclave Shade from both players. Very powerful spell here.
So we're going to get things underway here with one of these two drops, Soaring Thought Thief or the Skyclave Shade. Which one do you like leading off with, or are we just going to hold on to some removal? Or with Luca being on the play, is he the more proactive player, going to try and get as many things down as possible and try and get the game over with, or are we still hanging back and trying to counter and kill things?
Yeah, when you're on the play especially, I think you just get Skyclave Shade out there. Easy answer, I know, after Luca already made it. But I do think there's not much you're going to want to be able to counter or can counter with Drawn on the Log. And Soaring Thought Thief runs into Dispute. So right now, I think just play your creature while you can.
Yep. Paulo agrees and gets Skyclave Shade of his own out. And both of these can't block, so they'll just be passing each other.
Yeah, kind of like in Historic when we see Scrap Heap Scroungers kind of just ignoring each other and just going right for the face. No blocking will be done here.
Just swing and pass, going, hi! Now, Paulo does have a few answers for these pesky 3/1s, and also has the Cling to Dust, like you mentioned, to be able to get one of them out of the graveyard permanently.
Yeah, and looks like from Paulo, we're either looking to Heartless Act one of these shades at end step so that they can't come back. You definitely don't want to do it in combat. Otherwise, Luca just goes land drop, play it, and kind of laughs at that exchange. But if you do kill it on end step and then cling it during your turn, gets rid of it for good, and probably something Paulo is pretty interested in.
That's what we're going to see. Heartless Act. Kill one of these creatures, and then Cling to Dust it on his turn.
Yeah, no, Luca has a decision. If he just wants to get out Soaring Thought Thief now, well, you can't get Mystical Disputed, because that exchange feels pretty bad if that does happen. So I wouldn't be too shocked if we see that. It does kind of run the foul, which we are also probably going to see, of running into a sorcery speed removal like Blood Chief's Thirst.
Oh, yeah. I mean, now the door is wide open for Paulo to go Blood Chief's Thirst, Blood Chief's Thirst. Unfortunately, can't do Cling to Dust as well, but...
Yeah. I would guess we see Blood Chief's Thirst plus Cling on that shade, and that eliminates a lot of pressure. You get to gain 3 life as well, and all of a sudden, you're basically at parity, and exactly at parity with life total here. So, pretty evening turn here for Paulo.
Very nice indeed. Blood Chief's Thirst going to take care of the Soaring Thought Thief. And pass the turn back. Seagate Restoration is the draw there for Luca Magni. Swings in with the Skyclave Shade. And it's probably just going to be happy to pass the turn back here.
Yeah, probably nothing really you want to do on this turn. Maybe play that Seagate as a land. And more than likely doing that, because that seems like you are pretty far away from that being a meaningful card.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's something that you want like really late on in the game. But one thing that was interesting with I think it was Paulo's list, not running Agadeem's Awakening, which is something that we've seen with quite a few of the rogues decks, just being able to power out, a bunch of the little creatures in, a bunch of the rogues like the Thieves Guild Enforcer or the Merfolk Windrobber, but opted not to play that card.
Yeah, Luca decided not to play that one, right? Yep. Yeah, that's interesting. When you play the more Brazen Bar or Zarasand, if you ever add a Deem's Awakening for 8 and get Zarasand, like, sure, that's cool, but I highly doubt that's happening often.
Yeah. So I guess that's just a result of not playing the Lurrus version of it, where it's easy to cheat out these little creatures, but, playing things like Gadwick and Skyclave Shades and, the bigger creatures like Brazen Borrower, it doesn't really get as much value as these Luca versions do.
Totally agree with you. Seagate Restoration in the versions where you're going draw go a lot more seems to make a little bit more sense. So I think both players' lists has the right mythic double face card.
MGFCs, yeah. Or as I like to call them, Splans.
Splans? Okay, okay. I like that.
Speaking of Splans, we're going to get one on the battlefield now. And Skyclave Shade is coming on down.
Luca chose to not kicker that. Did have the option if you wanted to take 3 damage with that the Seagate Reborn. Wanted to have some permission instead. I like it. And we see that Paulo is at a very key amount of cards in graveyard here, and that's 6. So this is the type of graveyard count where Cling to Dust is just so good because it is stopping into the story. You get to exile even a non-creature permanent because you're not that far behind, and just really get your graveyard away from being able to cast into the story or something from Luca.
Yeah, and every time you think you're getting close to 7, the land comes down and Skyclave Shade comes out. It's like, could you just stay there, please?
Yeah, could you please not? Skyclave Shade coming in does take away 1 card here, still staying at a healthy distance away from into the story.
5/3 as well can deliver some beats. Drown in the Lot can take care of it and kill this creature. Heartless Act, though, is no longer able to, courtesy of its text that says without any counters on it.
Yeah, Heartless Act, not that good against the Skyclave Shade when it's kicked. But Paulo's got to be happy with that exchange as well. A premium removal spell, if not the best removal spell in each of their deck, being aimed at a card that comes back with just a land, that's fine.
Yeah, and the life totals are very close still, but I like Luca's approach here, just being as forceful as he can, just trying to get these creatures down and get this game over and done with. But Paulo drawing that premium removal spell in his own hand.
Yeah, that was great. Now, Lurrus there, as we got a quick snapshot, isn't insane or anything. You can go Lurrus and just bring back Skyclave Shade if my eyes weren't deceiving me. So that play is not insane or anything, but we do still have the escaping of Cling plus Drown in the Law as a play. You could even Drown in the Law the Shade and then Cling it. An option. We'll see what Paulo does. I do not question Paulo too often in my career, that's for sure.
Don't think any of us do, honestly.
Yeah.
The only time I've questioned Paulo Vitor Damo da Rosa is when I asked him how to pronounce his name.
Yeah.
Just say it to me, the whole thing, go. And I still don't get it right.
Yeah. Yeah, PVDDR is foolproof. That's what I usually go with.
That's a bunch easier to say, yeah.
Yeah.
So a tough decision here for Paulo. What's going through his mind right now, Corey?
Yeah, just really what you want to do here to deal with these creatures, and just realizes, okay, I don't want to play Lurrus, so I can do everything else on my opponent's turn because Drown in the Law plus Cling are both instants.
Looks like we're going to kill off one of these creatures pre-combat before the rogue gets its mill ability going. Soaring Thought Thief is no longer going to play a part in this matchup unless we cycle into a counterspell, but Zagoth Triumph is going to stay in hand there for Luca Magni as Into the Story is fired off at the opportune moment.
A sequencing error there by Paulo, because that is for sure what you want to cast is Cling here, because that's still lit up. And you saw Luca just hover over that Into the Story immediately. A little bit of a misstep there from Paulo.
Yeah, he could see immediately. He knew what he did. He was shaking his head, head in his hands. It's all right. Shake it off. There's still magic to be played here, sir.
Exactly. Oh, really visibly getting at him right now.
Yeah.
Because, Cling is that answer for Into the Story. And without 7 lands from Luca, which we were still 2 lands away, it was going to be pretty far away from casting that spell. So the reverse sequencing there would have been ideal.
Yeah. Well, let's come back to haunt Paulo Vitor Damo da Rosa. Only time will tell as Cling to Dust is going to start whittling away at graveyards, most notably his, to make sure that there isn't another Into the Story.
Yeah, and we did have the aspect that Cling to Dust would have had to exile Paulo's Skyclave Shade, which isn't nothing. So, of course, that is not ideal, but it's still much better than giving your opponent an Into the Story.
Yeah. Lures of the Dream Den now called to action and is able to play that Skyclave Shade. You can play
in 2 different ways.
Twice ways, yeah. In 2 different ways, sure. Perspective, that joins the battlefield, and Heartless Act is still available to Paulo to take care of a creature here.
Yeah, now a creature from Luca, as well as Untap and Heartless Act. This Lurrus is going to just be very strong here, and if not, maybe not quite lethal, but we're close. Oh, interesting here.
This is great pickup here. Inadvertently giving Paulo a Soaring Thought Thief.
Interesting, because Skyclave Shade was technically played off the landfall. Lurrus did not have the ability here. That could be huge.
Lures of the Dream Den did something. Dies for its sins, bringing back that Soaring Thought Thief. And Heartless Act will take care of the creature that can block as we now swing in for 4 points of damage. Paulo goes down to 1.
Now Into the Story is live, though, so we do got a chance here that is going to be the saving grace, and we do have 1 removal spell already. So what this is saying, we need a 1-mana piece of interaction, a Bloodchief's Thirst, or like a Soaring Thought Thief, or land removal, and we found all of those things.
Nice. That was a great Into the Story. This should keep Paulo alive for another turn.
We're not done yet.
Not in the slightest.
Even if Paulo were to sneak out this game, this is not going to be a shining match for him, because he's such a phenomenal player, one of the best, if not the best in the world, that is very critical on himself when he makes little mistakes. And I know this will be something that would be what he would think of more than winning the match, just be thinking of a misplay.
Yeah. All the best players in the world are their biggest critics, But nevertheless, he's hanging on by a thread here, down to 1 life, but has found several removal spells to take care of these creatures on the other side of the battlefield, and will get a reprieve here. No 3rd land to get out this Brazen Borrower, so Luca Magni still has some work to do to win this game.
And there's the Shade. 3, 4, 5. Unfortunate that that's a tap land. Otherwise, you could either Skyclave Shade and not kick it and be able to play 2 Brazen Borrowers, or kick it and just play 1. But you can still Petty Theft plus play a Brazen.
Yeah, while Paolo's tapped out, it's an opportune time to play the Brazen Borrower. May opt against it, though.
Yeah, and Paulo still does have 2 ways to deal with creatures once again. So as of right now, Paulo still does have this board stabilized next turn with what he has in hand.
Ooh, Bloodchief's Thirst is a great pickup there. Cheap interaction.
Yeah.
Able to kill off the Skyclave Shade.
Kill off the Skyclave Shade, and depending on how many cards in hand, or cards in graveyard, we can cling it as well.
Yeah, and gain some life.
Paulo kind of sat up there because that was an excellent draw.
All right. Let's Bloodchief's Thirst some Skyclave Shades.
Yeah, I would think. Yep. And then we can cling it.
Uh-huh. Pad the life total a little bit. Let's first kill this Brazen Borrower.
Yep.
Fill up the graveyard. Nice and big. Mm-hmm.
You see Luca with kind of a disgusted look on his face there. Yeah. Be like, come on, stop that.
Oh, really? Stop doing things. Turns out Into the Story is a great Magic card.
Yeah, no kidding.
He also has the option to wait a turn and get the Skyclave Shade out along with holding up Essence Scatter. Yeah,
and you can also wait until a land comes into the battlefield and then with the trigger on the stack hit the Shade. But if there's a counter spell, that's a bit rough.
Yeah. So no more Skyclave Shade available for Luca Magni. 3 life for Paolo, up to 4 again. And a Zagoth Triumph is a draw here for Luca Magni.
This one's almost assuredly getting cycled. Yep, that makes sense.
All right. Finds a Heartless Act. This will take care of this creature.
So Luca's been acting on his turn when it came to these flash creatures for the majority of this game. And for the most part, it's been working out to his detriment, right? Like there's been Bloodchief's Thirst and Sorcery Speed removal. But now, and after that happened so many times, you're like, okay, I'm going to stop doing this. It is not working out. But here is the one point where it really, on the surface value, looks better because there's Essence Scatter. So really nothing going well for Luca as far as these small judgment calls.
All right, now we got a fight on our hands here. Skyclave Shade's going to come in kicked.
Yeah.
Brazen Borrower can send it back or just get down on the battlefield here and pray that Paolo doesn't have a Essence Scatter.
Yeah, it's gonna try to do both. But yeah, here we just run into a scatter, and this feels so bad.
My goodness, what a scrappy fight between these two players here. Dimir Rogue's mirror match of the ages.
Yeah, Paulo's going to get up from his desk, give him a couple slaps on the cheek here and be like, all right, no more of that, Paulo.
Skyclave Shade returns. Luca Magni can't do anything about it with just an island in hand. And he has to find a piece of removal or a creature here to prevent the world champion from picking up the 2-0. What is it? It's a Thieves Guild Enforcer. All right. So the game is still afoot.
But here's the big problem, is this Cling is going to put Paulo down to 1 card in graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be just the Cling here. So that Thieves Guild Enforcer is going to be a 1/1.
It isn't that.
And Paulo could just exile another creature to pad his life total again. And right now that Skyclave Shade is a lethal attacker. So right now you have to chump it.
Yeah, he has to chump block it, but now also finding another attacker to add to Luca Magni's woes here, did Paulo Vitor Damo da Rosa.
This is just such a great learning lesson for anybody who tilts off after they make a really bad play mistake. Paulo had his moment where he put his head down and kind of was visibly shaken, but he didn't give up then. He just put his head into the game and kept fighting back. And now all of a sudden he's at a position where it looked very favorable for him. Such a world-class mentality.
Oh, yes, for sure. Luca has to find, I believe, exactly Into the Story if he wants a chance at coming back in this matchup now.
Yeah, and that's going to cost 7, so that's not even going to be great. Yeah, here's the Cling to make sure it doesn't have Death Touch.
fling to dust, shrinking this graveyard size. So even a draw like an Into the Story won't help here to find 2 pieces of removal for these creatures.
And take
Gonna go
note
down
what
to 2.
Paulo. And take note what Paulo exiled there. And it's every permanent that could be brought back with Zara Sand, just in case Luca left those in.
What do we find? Soaring Thought Thief?
That ain't it.
That's not enough.
Wow.
We're going to see the good game there from Luca Magni, and the good game from Paulo. Dodged a bullet and managed to pick up the 2-0 against Luca Magni. Congratulations.